Now that you've learned how to build with HTML, from headings to tables, it's time to learn how to do it the right way. This lesson is all about HTML practices, the habits and techniques that make your code cleaner, easier to maintain, and more professional. Use proper indentation. Indentation helps you see which tags are inside others. Let me show you by an example. Indentation helps you see which tags are inside others. Tools like Prettier can auto-format this for you. The way this text is written, the way we've done here, when I click Control Save, Prettier will help in indenting the text. You can see that we have HTML and the closing HTML. The opening body tag, which shows us that it is inside the HTML tag. And then we have the H1 and the P tag all together inside the body tag. Always close your tags unless it's a self-closing tag like image, break, or the horizontal rule. The other thing we'd like to look at is what we call the semantic tags. Let me quickly explain what I mean. These ones, they are meaningful tags. Why do we call them meaningful or semantic tags? They help describe the purpose of your content. For example, if I give you this code here and Control Save, it will work the same way. But this one is non-semantic. Semantic HTML, they use meaningful tag names that describe the purpose of your content. The best way of writing is that I'll come here and start by writing using header. Inside header, I'll come here and write heading 1. And this one, I'll call it Sarah Wanyeki. Then it will be followed by a P tag like that. Then after header, the next thing that will follow is what we call the nav tag, which is navigation bar. In this navigation bar, I'm going to have these links in the navigation bar, and inside the main content area is the section area, and it is a section of grouped content. Like now, in my case in this section, I am going to write something about me. So I'll just come here and I'll paste this code, an ID of about, and hit on save. Our photo is not being displayed. It is saying it is Sarah's photo, but it is not being displayed. So what do? I should come here and remove this source and go to images folder and Control Save. I can still add another section that talks about my skills here, and I can save it. And the other portion we can have is what is called an article. We can have an article. And inside article, what comes in here? Standalone content like a blog. The last one, we have what we call a footer at the bottom section. And in our footer, I'll have a P tag there and Control Save, and we have our footer that is being displayed there. So header usually contains your logo or navigation. The main part holds your core content, and footer is where you put things like copyright or contact list. Using these tags makes your code easier to understand for both people and search engines. So it is important for you to use semantic tags like header, nav, section, footer, and main instead of generic divs when possible. This makes your code more meaningful and helps both screen readers and search engines understand your layout. The next best practice is that you should use lowercases, okay? Don't use things like this in HTML. Even if it will be displayed, it is not a good practice to do that. HTML is not case sensitive, but using lowercase is the standard. It's easier to read, looks consistent, and is required in some frameworks. So make it a practice to be writing your code in lowercases. The other thing you need to do is that you need to add alt text to images. We said alt attributes are essential for accessibility because they help screen readers describe images to visually impaired users. They also help search engines understand the image content. And also, they provide fallback text if the image fails to load. So write meaningful alt text that describe what's important. It will be short and meaningful. The other thing is that you need to use meaningful file and folder names. Name your files clearly. Name your files like about.html for the about page, images folder for all images, contact.html for the contact page. Avoid names like page1.html or file123.html. Clear names equals clean project. And then also don't overuse the break tag or the HR tag. It's tempting to use lots of break tags for spacing, but avoid this. Instead, we are going to be using CSS to control layout and spacing, and we'll learn that next week. HTML is for structure, not for styling. The other practice you need is to comment your code. Use comments to describe sections of your code, especially when you revisit your work later or collaborate with others. What I want you to do right now is that in the index.html page that we created, I want you to go and revisit it again. And I want you to use the semantic tags that we have talked about. HTML best practices helps you write code that's clean, readable, and accessible. It makes it easier to debug, to maintain, and also share. It will build a strong foundation before adding design and interactivity. Remember, a great developer writes clean code, not just code that works. So go ahead and do what we have said, and for all that and more, I'll see you in the next lesson.